Wealth means different things to different people. I mean, I've talked to some people, and they said, wealth means, when you've got money working for you instead of you're working for money. You ask somebody else, what does wealth mean to them? And they said, wealth means that you have enough money to do whatever you want to do. And then I asked somebody else, what did wealth mean to them? They said, well, wealth is not determined by how much you have, but by how little you need. Wealth. And then I asked someone else, what's wealth to you? They said, wealth is freedom from debt. But this was a very interesting one when I asked a question, what is wealth to you? And they said, wealth means to me the opportunity to grow and achieve. The opportunity to grow and achieve. It's interesting. Wealth. The wealthy place is not somewhere that you go and find out in the world. You are the wealthy place. It's the opportunity to grow and to achieve. Now listen, you have to ask yourself this question. My time is up, isn't it? Somebody's giving me a... It's prayer time. But if I ask you the question, what does wealth mean to you? What does wealth mean to you? It might be just having enough money to be able to meet your needs and to be able to live some of your dreams and be able to leave in some type of inheritance to your children or whatever the case. You have to define what does wealth mean to you. Because here's the principle, is that the power to define is the power to determine destiny. The power to define is the power to determine destiny. How do you define it? Wealth to you could be being fulfilled in your relationships and having health in your body and sufficient, contacts in your life that you really enjoy your life and enough money to keep your bills paid. Wealth is defined, but the power to define is the power to determine destiny. And if you won't define a thing, then you won't recognize it when it shows up. So that's why you have to define it. You have to define it. You have to define it. I was raised with some very simple core values, very, very simple core values. Would you be interested to know what they are? Yes. They were very simple things. Number one, my daddy taught me, he said, work hard, work hard, work hard. That's why he started me when I was 5 years old delivering newspapers. Work hard. You cannot be afraid of work. And people that are wealthy don't think that they just, are lazy. They are workaholics almost. Work hard, work hard. Here was the second thing. Be honest. Because you can get something that'll blow up and it'll go, sometimes the faster that it goes up, the faster it comes down. And it looks like an overnight sensation. It's blowing up, it's going to create a bubble, and eventually the bubble is going to burst. We saw it happen with the housing market. It happened with certain stocks in the internet world, and it happened in the banking industry. It can happen in a wide variety. It's happened with student loans, and so you can have this bubble that is growing, but you got to be honest. If you want something to last, you've got to do it right. You got to do it right. It's got to be built on a solid foundation. Be honest. Be honest. That's this core value of integrity. The core value of integrity. Work hard, be honest. And here was the third thing, keep good company. Keep good company. Are you around people that challenge you, that challenge your thinking, that make you think on a different level? I mean, what are you, what's going on in their life? I mean, are you the smartest person in the room when you with your friends? You have more than everybody else? You have to start thinking about those particular things. And I'd encourage you to ask yourself this question. What are the 6 most important things that you would need to accomplish in the next 6 days? 6 days shalt thou labor and do all of thy work, but the Sabbath is the Sabbath of the Lord thy God. In it thou shalt not do any work. Thou, nor thy son, nor thy daughter, nor thy manservant, nor thy maidservant, nor thy ox, nor thy... I need Bishop Long to interpret that again. But did you know that there are always about a half dozen things that you do, about a half dozen, sometimes less, things that you do that make up 80% of the results in your life? There are about a half dozen things. For some people, they are 3 primary things that they do that give them 80% of the results of their life. And you might have a list. I've had to help some people. I will sit them down and I'll say, you know what? I want you to take a list of everything that you do over the course of a week, answering phones, answering emails, doing this, that, and the other. I want you to write it down on a list of paper. And I had one executive, he handed me a list. He had 52 items that he did every week. And I said to him, sir, about 3 of these things that are on this list are what's producing 80% of the result in your life. I said, I want you to set a time twice a day where you will check email. When you check email all day, you give somebody else control over your time. Now, their issues are becoming your priority and what's happening to your focus. One of the most important things, you've got to be a focused leader. Write down the 6 things, just 6 things. Sometimes it may be 3 things for you that produce for you 80% of those results, and start trimming the fat. Delegate it, get somebody else, or just quit doing it. Just quit doing it because it's not effective for you. It's still a part of the Pareto principle. About 20% of the stuff that you do will give you 80% of your results. It is true. It's true. And we spend our time, frivolous time, with petty stuff. That's an aggravation and a vexation to your soul that wears you out with triviality, and then you're worn out and can't give your full attention to something that really adds quality and value to your life. Everybody in this room knows something that they can do to start improving their condition. Everybody. They know something. Make a plan to make it happen. Set a time to make it happen. All personal breakthroughs begin with a change in beliefs, what Anthony Robbins says. All personal breakthroughs, they began with a change in beliefs. If you believe that you got to try to respond to everything that comes your way, you are giving other people your control and you're scattered. You're too thin to be effective. You only have power when you have focus. Focus produces power and intensity in your life. Have just a few things, just a few ideas. Did you know that sometimes all you need is one good idea? One uncommon idea can come just through the observation of what is around you or what is not around you. One uncommon idea. An uncommon idea from God will solve problems and it'll help people. An uncommon idea will create uncommon wealth for you. An uncommon idea requires attention, uncommon attention, and collaboration. And an uncommon idea can come to you whether it is respected by those around you or not. And I want you to start believing for uncommon ideas. And you know why I'm saying uncommon ideas? Because there are certain things that God has not hidden from you, He hid them for you. There's certain things, and they're called uncommon ideas. I would encourage you to start investing 1 hour a day. Just take 1 hour, not every day, but just take 1 hour to sit down and clearly start writing down the goals that really matter to you. Just sit down, take 1 hour, and just write down clearly the goals that honestly matter to you. And never make decisions alone. Get input from other folks on another level. Find a hero, a shero on another level who's got a business similar to yours and learn from them, glean from them. Go and volunteer in their organization. It's the best education that you could possibly get is sometimes just volunteering because it puts you in the atmosphere. When you get in the atmosphere, you start developing the mindset. May I tell you this? Before my daddy started doing powerful things in business, guess what he did? He went and worked for a Jew for 25 years. He developed a mindset. He was looking at everything they were doing. He was learning how they did everything. No wonder people start calling my daddy the black Jew. He was an unusual man. Vegetarian, very unusual. Disciplined man. Took care of his body, exercised every day. Golfer, swimmer, champion swimmer. You know, he was an unusual man. I mean, it's what you do differently that makes you different. Just one uncommon idea, just one uncommon idea. When my daddy started the beauty show, 1947, is when he started it. He had 300 people. But you know, he almost seemed like a lunatic because he would put up, like when he had the first one, he'd say 5,000 expected. And then when we were getting 5,000 that were actually coming, the sign read 25,000, you know? And then he'd put on there 50,000 expected. And then we finally met it and surpassed it. So he raised it to 100,000. You'd be surprised. You ought to have to learn how to have a big ask and set some big goals because we've got a big God. And have something that is uncommon. Don't try to do the common thing. There are too many people that do the common thing. You have to, if you really want to go, whether you want the honey in life, you got to go where there are bees with stingers in their tails. And most people are more in love with security than they are with opportunity. So it is the security of keeping my hand away from bees that will keep me from the honey. But I'm not allergic to bees. I will stick my hand in there and risk being stung 2 or 3 times to get my finger on some honey. I've been stung by bees and wasp. I'm like, bring it on. Come on, Cletus, come on. If you're going to do something in the business world, you're going to get stung. But we just had a lady in our company that stole over $1 million from us that has been with us for years. You'll get stung trying to help people. We've been providing her employment for years. And she just did this to us. You'll get stung. She wasn't the first one. She won't be the last. It goes with the territory. We understand that. We've been sued. We understand that. I know what that feels like. You know, so it goes with the territory. You have to become comfortable when you are going after opportunity, because all opportunity involves risk, and opportunity, every opportunity also comes with opposition. Every opportunity. Just get used to it. Just get used to it. And never make permanent decisions because of temporary feelings. Don't invest in stuff you don't know anything about. Before you invest, investigate. Before you invest, investigate. If you don't know anything about it, don't fool with it. Before you invest, investigate. Investigate the thing. Let it prove out over some time. Remember, patience is a secret weapon that forces deception to reveal itself. And there are a lot of people that do fast talking and swindling stuff with money. I've been burned financially. I know what that feels like. I know exactly what that feels like. You know, to be burned by fast talking people that show you this kind of stuff and that kind of stuff. You know, and I've learned now, just give it a little time. Give it a little time. I'm going to let it hang in there because it's, no lie can live forever. No lie will live forever. And anticipate changes in your goal. Anticipate those changes that are there. Now, here's some decisions that will impact your immediate future. Here's some decisions that I want you to be aware of, and then I'm finished. Decide who you will ignore. Because there will be somebody who will be clamoring for your attention that will throw you off from your goals, your destiny, and your purpose. Decide who you will ignore. Who you will ignore. You know when it comes up on your telephone, answer or ignore? Now I'm going to tell you this. There's a reason. You don't have to just try to figure it out, but go to the guy that invented Facebook. They have a thing where you can delete friends. You can unfriend them. You can unfriend people on Twitter. You know? Now, if these people in these huge social networks realize that there are times that you got to unfriend folks or block them from being able to send you harassing messages and all of that garbage. I've had to block some people. I really have. You know, it wasn't personal, but it was a distraction to me. You have to decide who you will ignore. Here's number 2. Decide who you will enjoy. If you're going to go on a journey, you got to go with somebody that you enjoy. You really do. You got to go with somebody that you enjoy. And here's the way that I find out whether I have chemistry with a person. I ask myself, if I had to ride on a car trip for 6 hours with them, would I take them? And if I wouldn't want to ride, 6 hours in the car with them, I'm like, deuces. Here's number 3. These are things that will impact your immediate future. Decide who has ignored you. Decide who has ignored you. Because let me tell you this. God will never, ever put the success of your destiny in the hands of another two-legged human being. He never will. If God did that, he would be giving somebody else more control over your destiny than you do. And you're the captain of that ship, submitted unto him. But if somebody walks out of your life, it meant that they had served their season and they were not critical to the fulfillment of your destiny. I mean, if I'm in a partnership with somebody and God has told me to do something, you mean he's going to abort the whole program just because they went AWOL? And I have to be punished because I'm still saying, Lord, I'm willing. I'll do this. And if you have to get somebody else, did you know that the Apostle Paul and the Apostle Barnabas had they had such an incendiary conflagration that arose because of nepotism. Because Barnabas was trying to bring his young cousin, John Mark, on the trip. And John Mark had been with them on a trip before. And Paul said, he backed out on us before over there. He's not going anywhere. And they had such an incredible gainsaying that happened between the two of them that they split up. And you never hear again of Paul and Barnabas. Then immediately he chose Silas. And John Mark, the young man who was in question, when he went to the next city, Paul and now Silas meet Timothy. God will always bring you a Timothy into your life whenever the John Mark didn't do right, when they got scared and said, I'm going home. And that's what he did. But now, it didn't mean that God wasn't going to bless John Mark. He did bless John Mark. He used John Mark. In fact, Paul later said, send him to us because he is profitable for us for ministry. So it turned around, but he's like, you're going to get out of here now. So you have to decide who has ignored you, because God's not going to put your destiny of what he's called you to do in the hands of somebody who decided to jump ship on you. Does that make sense to you? Here's number 4. Decide the tasks that you no longer enjoy doing. Decide the tasks that you no longer enjoy doing. Just decide what those are, because there's certain things that you don't enjoy doing. You shouldn't be doing them. You're wasting your time. And if you don't enjoy doing them, it's not going to be productive for you. And number 5, decide whose example is worth following with passion. Find somebody. Get a hero, a shero. Find somebody whose example is worth following with passion. And then you have to decide, number 6, decide what you want your daily world to be like. Decide what you want your daily world to be like. All change begins with a decision. All change. begins with a decision. All change begins with a decision. I told you I'm an etymologist, didn't I? Decision. D means off. Cis, C-I-S, is from the word cicere. It means to cut. Shan means the state of being. Decision is the state of being cut off. Every time you make a decision, you're cutting off other options. 28 years ago, I married a woman. I made a decision to give my virginity one time to one person. And I made a covenant with God. And I've held true to that covenant. To where I said, God, this is about you, and I'm making a decision. It's not because I didn't have other marvelous, good-looking opportunities. But what empowered me was the strength and the conviction of my decision. It's a decision. It is a decision. It's a decision that I made one time, and I have managed it every day. You cut it off. I cut off the opportunity to be with every Sally, Mary, and Sue. When I did that 28 years ago, I made a decision. I cut off every other opportunity. I cut it off. Decisions to cut off, incision to cut in, circumcision to cut around. But there's some cutting that needs to be done. There are certain things that you can never grow. If something is really going to grow, if something is really going to grow like gangbusters, guess what's going to happen? Pruning, cutting back. It looks like it will just destroy you. It strips you down to nothing. I had a man came to my house, and he handles all of the yard and hedges and bushes and stuff. And this man cut my beautiful, flourishing stuff down, and it looked like sticks. And I was furious. I thought he'd kill the stuff. And when spring rolled around, my God, the fullness. But I was stripped bare. It was embarrassing. I thought I'm like, this screwball. I thought he'd killed it. It was just a few sticks. I was used to it being so incredibly huge and full, and he just stripped it down to nothing. That was pruning. It had to do with a cutting back. Every major change that God will bring into your life is because of something that is cut. We used to call it years ago, when you process checks manually, we call it cutting a check. And I don't care whether it's cutting a check, cutting loose a relationship, cutting sickness out of your body. There's certain things that can never go forward until you learn to cut back. And I encourage you to become the Abraham. Abraham didn't have the fullness of the promise, but the seed of it was planted in him. And the root of it was manifested in his grandson. And his great-grandson Levi was credited with paying tithes because Abraham paid tithes, and he sowed for his children's children, because a good man leaves an inheritance to his children's children. And it was the decision of my great-great-granddaddy, who actually was a businessman, that impacted my life. I'm a businessman today because of a decision that my great-great-granddaddy made. And on my mother's side, I'm a fourth-generation preacher. So I had both business on daddy's side and ministry on mother's side that came and kissed each other. And I am the product that came from that. Between the two, you never have to decide whether I'm going to go after God or after money. You only have to decide which one you're going to serve. God bless you. I love you.
On my table, I'll be selling the bootleg version of his. In a language that we all understand. Can y'all bless God one more time for my friend? See, I'm not going to, at this moment, I'm just going to, I'm going to embarrass him in a different way. Normally, number one, you got to understand how God takes things full circle. Last night, until we're looking for Abraham's, he comes towards the end. We give you the Last Supper because you really got to understand who you're hanging with and how important that is. That's why. Now, Bishop Bronner could have became very lazy because certain things, because of the pattern God set in his life. But because of the pattern God set in his life, he pursues even greater. Now, how many different languages do you speak?
I've never counted.
Roughly.
Just a few, just a few.
You give me a little sample. So I took him and I had him I introduced him to Apostle Raul. I introduced him to Apostle Raul. Y'all understand?
Y después los dos de nosotros tuvimos conversación en español para ellos.
Finishing term. After I introduced him to Apostle Raul,
Después de introducir al apóstolo Raúl,
they went off in Spanish,
ellos se fueron en el español
and I went to my seat.
y se fue a mi asiento.
In my own words, I didn't know what the hell they were talking about. Say that. He made a decision to stay pure. And see, that's why he needs me. He had some people he didn't like. And he called me and asked me to that meeting to tell them what he wanted to say. I said, no problem, bro. I got this. They ain't bothering him no more. Moment said I couldn't do this, but quick, because I like valuable assets, and what you have to do is understand the value, again, of relationships, the value, this is not someone I talk to every day or anything like that, but when it comes down to time, I want wisdom. When it comes down to time, I want to have fun. When it comes down when my mind is playing a whole lot of things and I'm trying to get somebody to help me get it in line as far as, when you're starting to test things and new things, you want principles, again, back to the rabbi, those principles. Everything's tying back into, so God lets you know that I'm doing a complete work in that. So, but whenever you have a benefit of having somebody in, I always give you an opportunity. I had Kevin run through a book I was reading by, I can't even think his name, I referenced him, T. Harvey Eckert, and it's from his book, A Millionaire Mind, and it talks about things, how you go back into your history and really look at what did you think about money, what do you need to get rid of in your thought process, all that. And then a lot of the principles, a lot of things that Bishop was talking about, just to start reprogramming yourself to think about. I'm not going through that. I just gave it to you to look at and to take with you. I'll take 3 quick questions to Bishop Bronner, just 3. You, I got to go, and you, sir. That's it. Yes, Miss Brenda.
Priorities: God first, family second, business third. Thank you for that.
Who did I say? Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
I hate reading. I really do. I do it because I have to do it, but only, and I cannot tell you the number of books that I have that I started and that I never finished, because I'm just not going to waste time reading a bad book. What was your first question?
What do you think about money?
Oh, what do I think about money? I think that money is a wonderful servant. Money is amoral. It has no morality. It's what we do with the money that makes money good or evil. I mean, people so often misquote the scriptures when they talk about money is the root of all. It's the inordinate affection, the love of money that is the root of all evil. As long as we understand that money is designed to be a servant to us and not a master, so that we are compromising our principles, it's only a facilitator. Money is an amplifier. Money doesn't change people. Money only exposes you for who you already were. It's an amplifier. It's an amplifier. There are things that can be disguised because it's small. When you amplify it, now you can see it. Money is an amplifier. It takes money to run the sound system here. You can hear way back in the back because money is causing my voice to be amplified. It is necessary. It's necessary. And the Bible talks about if we've not been faithful with unrighteous mammon, who would trust us with the true spiritual, riches? So the three criteria for faithfulness is faithfulness with money, faithfulness with small things, and faithfulness in that which belongs to another person. Those are the three measures of faithfulness. So money it's a great blessing because it enables us to do the will of God. Otherwise, I don't think that God would have said in Deuteronomy that it is the Lord that gives you power, the ability to produce wealth so that you may establish his covenant in the earth. And I tell you this, the only thing that hinders people from fulfilling their vision is a lack of money. And so it's a wonderful servant, and it's designed to be able to be a blessing in our life and through our lives to others. I think that we're called to be a distribution center, and God will give us discernment. We are not the owners of it. We are the stewards of it, and he trusts us as a steward of money. I hope that helps.
Thank you. And one last, yes, sir.
As a father of three little girls, how did you raise your daughters in such a society that is going down? They feel like they can be entitled to certain things.
I beat them savagely. Yeah. And in fact, my oldest daughter, she was a virgin when she married, and she married a virgin man. My second daughter was a virgin when she married. She married a virgin man. My third daughter, she's a virgin. She's engaged to a virgin man. Now, is it a coincidence? Now, my other daughter, she's a virgin, and my son is a virgin. And it's not an accident. You reap what you sow. Now, I would sit with my children when they were young and watch television. I let them see things that were on there so that I could teach them how to handle it responsibly. You don't just give a child a gun. Guns don't kill people. People kill people. I wanted to teach them how to handle that. I would sit with my children and I would let them watch. I don't know whether you realize this or not, but about 80 or 90% of sexual situations that are seen on television are not between married people. So I taught them the biblical truth, and I would ask my children questions. I would say to them, what was wrong with that scenario that you just saw here? And they would say, that man, she was in the bed with that lady, and that was not his wife, What I was doing, I was sharpening their discernment. I asked the question years ago, which is more important? Does the journey make the man, or does the man make the journey? It's a combination of the two. The journey introduces the man to himself. There's stuff that's on the journey that matures him, that he'll have to grow to be able to overcome. And I wanted to be able to give my children discernment. But I homeschool all of my children. My girls were all homeschooling.